a place that I can go when I'm in need. I'm so lucky to be with the birds and the bees. Listen to the wind move the leaves. I'm so lucky to breathe this breath, feel the sun's rays make love to me.
My name is Larisa, and I'm a musician, and I also utilize sound and resonance as a way to provide healing and any other sort of modality to align the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional body.
What inspired you to get into this kind of line of work?
Well, I've always loved music. Ever since I was a kid, I always knew that's exactly the field that I wanted to be in, and the thing that sparked me most out of everything and spoke to my heart and my spirit most out of everything, and also my passion for healing arts and spirituality. So I've been able to combine and fuse the two together, and so that's what I do.
And I also know that since 5 you were doing music.
Mm-hmm.
And what inspired you to produce the kind of music that you produce? Like, what are some artists out there that really resonated with you?
So that's been a journey, because what I was exposed to when I was young was a lot of, what was in the central media and things like that, and of course that has provided a lot of deep inspiration for me, and so it's been a journey from that. And I would say that there are a lot of artists now who tend to write more intentional music that really resonates with the kind of stuff that I like to write as well. But I mean, there's so many incredible musicians out there, and all of it is valid no matter what, and it's all an expression of something. So, I find inspiration from a lot of different artists.
Yeah. And speaking of inspiration, Bobby one time said that every single song that he's produced was some sort of love and loss experience. And I'm wondering if that could be relevant to you in any way. If music kind of propels you to write better music. If pain or loss propels you to write better music.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's all an experience of life, and so when we're able to channel that into one outlet, then a lot of, you can allow it to move through you, and that is what creative expression is, and we're doing it all the time. It's not just in music, we're creating constantly, and so, but that's the modality that I like to use it for. Yeah.
And your songs are a lot about, being a vessel of God.
Yeah, vessel. Mm-hmm.
What personal background, personal situations kind of got you to realize this truth in your life?
Yeah. Well, I have always felt a really deep devotion to the greater and what I'm here to do in a greater sense. And so at the core of it, it's this fire that burns, this prayer that is to be used for good and healing and love and inspiration and joy and all of those things.
And I'm wondering if there's ever been moments in your life where, that kind of intensity, that kind of pain ever existed for you, and what was it like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually mostly what I went through last year. Just some of the most deep suffering and questions of why am I here? What is this all about? What's the point? what am I really doing? You know, what is this place that I live in? You know, all these really, you know, powerful questions that's questioning everything I've been taught and everything I've known. And so, yeah, I've been through that. And what was your question regarding that?
Well, my question is, can you get a little bit more into kind of the situation that you went through, without naming any names, of course, but like kind of take us to the narrative of that experience, the love part first. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So last year I entered a relationship with a gentleman, and you know, we fell in love, and we shared a lot of the same visions and a lot of the same goals and a lot of the same views on life and spirituality and our passion for music and healing arts and connection to source. And so, you know, we dived in really deep together and started traveling together, and you know, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Very intense, a lot of very intense moments together, and we eventually decided to part ways. And after that, it was hard for me because when we were together, I felt as if everything I had wanted was coming true. I was in love with this man. I was playing music, and I was traveling, and I was infusing it all with spirituality and connection to earth and to source and to all. And, you know, it was all these things combined in one. And so when we split, you know, I didn't have a home, and I felt as if my entire foundation had crumbled, and everything that I had climbed to was suddenly, you know, gone. And so I felt like I was starting completely over from ground zero. And not just that, but like 6 feet under, you know, like I had to really climb out of that. And yeah, so again, and all those questions were there, like, you know, what am I really doing? And I didn't have a home, so there was no like sense of like stability, and I had no money, and it was, you know, my car and my guitar, and I didn't know who I could trust. I had kind of adopted a viewpoint and a perspective that was causing me to doubt in who I could trust and open up to and expose my deepest feelings to. And so a lot of that was really hard for me, and I had a lot of thoughts about what's the point? What's the point? You know? And I just, you know, going back to that, I just feel so grateful for my community. Like, without my community, my friends, I would not be where I am today. I feel so blessed by who I'm surrounded by. And because of that, I had a particular friend who was letting me stay with him, and I would wake up in the morning and I would, you know, just start so simple, start so basic, and just take a breath and look outside and be thankful for the wind on my face, and be grateful for the sun on my skin and the birds in my ears, and like just starting so basic, you know, like if I felt like I had nothing and everything was wiped away, and it was like, okay, well, what do I have to be grateful for? And just sitting in the present moment and grounding into, you know, the beauty of nature and all that we have in that. And that's really what started to pull me out of that, was just going back to the basics of how can I be grateful? That, and a lot of prayer and internal diving into my own essence and my own experience and what I was experiencing at that time. Yeah.
Was there music involved, either your music or other people's music, that kind of pulled you through? And what was that experience like? What was your relationship with music during the time you were scared and doubtful and afraid?
I mean, I had my guitar, so I relied on that quite a bit as being my instrument and source of inspiration. There was music from dear friends of mine that I would listen to that allowed me to continue to have a wider perspective on everything. And honestly, the music of, nature and just breathing that in, that was really so important for me and provided me a lot of inspiration. Yeah.
What was your first love like, and what was your first heartbreak like?
Oh, well, I've had a heartbreak with every person I've been involved with, to all varying degrees, of course. Some more intense than others. I've always, I don't know, I'm having a hard time answering that question. Especially if it's something I've moved on from, it's hard to revisit that in a way, especially, in a relationship that was so long ago.
Was it always intense? Falling in love and then falling out of it?
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you feel very strongly for someone, to have the courage to dive into that is really powerful. And when that's met on the same level as you, there's a lot of, beauty and magic in that. And so then when things, don't work out, there's the cutting of the heart chords that takes time, and so there's heartbreak in every separation.
Yeah. And how many do you think you've had in your life?
Well, it depends on if we're talking just about romantic, or if we're talking about friends, or if we're talking about, family. Because I've had heartbreak when I've lost, a family member. I've had heartbreak when my best friend and I were living together, and then suddenly our paths started to go the other way. And that in a large way was heartbreak for me. So how many? I couldn't give you an answer. Since
there's so many, why do you still choose to fall in love and have form relationships?
Yeah, I think that's what life is about. I think that's what it's about. It's about not letting that stop you from diving into love and those experiences, because so much comes from both experiences. And of course, there's always a time to heal your heart and to, move back into your own energy. But, what is life without human connection and human relation, and all that comes with that?
Yeah.
And it's what propels us. It's what drives us. It's what makes our heart move and our stomach have butterflies. And, there's a lot of reasons why we feel connected to someone, and maybe it's to take us over here, or to, it's not always just about the relationship, but I feel as though there are reasons why we are attracted to each other as people and individuals, and the answer doesn't always arrive until it arrives,
So knowing that there's risks involved with falling in love with someone, you still choose to fall.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Yes.
And what song would you say really reflects your recent heartbreak?
Well, the one that reflects it most is not one that may not be released. So I'm not sure if that's something to talk about, you know?
Might be.
Yeah.
Because
Excuse me.
It's a reflection of
Yeah.
of what is the essence of what happened. And a lot of times people don't release it because it's so close to the truth.
Yeah, right.
And I
right.
wonder if that's the same case
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, well, and it definitely, you know, is associated with a certain particular point in my life. And, you know, so because of that, I suppose there's a part of me that doesn't want to revisit that. And when it was written, it was, you know, as a way to help me move through what I was feeling and experiencing. And, you know, it's not just about the heartbreak, but life in general and the experience of life in general, and all the different emotions and feelings that we can experience. So the song is really pinpoints, basically the essence of it is that, you know, experiencing suffering on one end and then experiencing love on the other end, and being able to see the two and recognize the two and know that there's love in both of them, and to know that, wow, what a beautiful experience this thing called life is that we can experience this range of emotion, and all of it has an undercurrent of goodness running through it. And neither is good nor bad, it's just is. And when we take away our judgment from that, then we can allow ourselves to be okay with what we are experiencing or have experienced, and not have, you know, shame around it, or blame or judgment, or any sort of, you know, relationship to it that's bad or negative, but to recognize that it's all part of it, you know. So that's kind of the essence of the song. And at the end of the day, it's like when I review what I've experienced so far, and the depth of the suffering that I went into at that particular point, I can also look at the love that I've experienced too and just go, oh my gosh, wow, look at this, look at all of this I have felt, you know? And then it allows us to have compassion and understanding and wisdom, and relate to people on a deeper level who have also been through those same things. So
Yeah, definitely. And have you thought of a title already for this song?
I haven't. I haven't. I was seeing if anything would come to me right then, but
and is this, I mean, usually I did interview another musician who said that it took him a long time to release the songs that really was from his heart and represented the truth of what happened. And he compared it to, like, you know, if he made this kind of, you know, similar poppy song that most people are, you know, used to, it's okay if they criticize it, but if you put out a song that's really like from the heart and people criticize it, it's like criticizing your mom or your sister. And so he was too afraid to put it out, and he finally did.
Oh, incredible.
And that's what kind of got him a little, you know, to open up and get that big following he wanted.
It's vulnerable. It's vulnerable being an artist. You know, you literally are laying your heart and your emotions and your experiences for everyone to hear and listen to. But it also takes a certain amount of strength and courage in being able to do that and saying, this is my truth. If you wrote this song with your truth, let's hope so. And then not allowing anyone else's, you know, opinions, because they're always going to be there, to affect what was true for you. So, and that's been a journey of my own. I've had to go through, you know, honest truth and authenticity through my songwriting.
Yeah. Like, let's talk about that. Like, what kind of hurdles have you personally gone through when you first put out your songs?
Well, the whole thing has been a journey. I mean, again, since I was 5, I always knew, you know, I was like, I came here to do this, and I always had that, you know, mission for myself. And then growing up and doing it, you know, you hear people say like, oh, you're not good enough, or, you know, all these things that people tell you, and, you know, you kind of lose like your sense of, well, am I good enough? You know, you doubt yourself and your ability. And so for a long time, I was in my own way of my songwriting and my ability, because of my lack of belief in myself and what I felt like I was here to give. And it wasn't until I finally came around to that and said, no, this feels right in every sense of my being, that I could stand and in front of an audience and deliver that. And sorry, what the question one more time?
Like you said, finally, I finally came to accepting myself and getting out of your way. Usually that happens when there's some kind of big event or big change or something to jar us out of our comfort zone. Could you recall anything that particularly happened that made you finally say like, F it, I'm just gonna do it?
Oh, gosh, I feel like a lot of little things put together, you know. I wouldn't say that there was like one pivotal moment, but I mean, in a way I could go back to my experience last year and that feeling of having nothing and starting over. It's kind of like, you know what, this is my life, and I'm going to do what I love, and I'm going to not let anything else take that from me, because that's what makes me feel good. And that's how I feel like when I'm living in my joy, I can give back. When you do anything in joy, you're giving back, you know? So yeah, and just a journey of like believing in myself, and even if I don't feel that it's perfect, because as an artist, I never feel like it's perfect, you know, but being okay to showcase that and show that and know that that's perfect as it is, not being perfect. So, you know, so it's just been the whole journey all together. You know, there was a certain point when I would be so overcome by my emotions, I wouldn't even be able to sing, you know? And so it's been this really big journey of finding my voice and finding my melodies through guitar. And that was honestly guitar, once I picked that up and had that as an accompaniment, that really allowed me to find my own voice, because I stopped singing other people's songs and trying to be them, but I allowed my own authentic expression to come through, and that's really when I found my own center.
And when was that, when you started writing and singing your own songs?
Yeah, so I picked up the guitar when I was 17, and I took, you know, a couple basic lessons, and I traveled for a bit in between, so I didn't always focus on guitar. But once I stopped traveling with the group that I was with, performing with, I picked it back up again. And so in between that, I had spurts of songwriting. So really the simplest answer is when I was 17 is when I learned and started writing, yeah.
Could you think of a specific song that you've written that kind of encapsulates the whole concept of the love, letting go, loving and letting go?
It would be my song Blessing, yeah.
Let's talk about that. Where does the concept blessing, you know, come from?
Yeah.
Where did that come from, the name?
Well, the main core of the song, the lyrics are, I wish you love, I wish you happiness, I wish you all the joy and peace to your heart's content. I give you my blessing, but most of all, I wish you love. And there's so much that's spoken in those words, and a lot of it is about letting go and unconditionally loving no matter what, but allowing the journey of that individual to be fully in love and not having any attachment to anything else with that. And so that song is really about unconditional love in all ways.
When did you write that?
It actually started, it's a funny story. So one of my dear friends was proposing to his fiance, and he asked me an hour before he was proposing. He said, "Hey, will you write a song while I sing this, while I propose?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." It's an hour before. I'm like, "I'll see what I can come up with." And I thought, the most simplest thing to say to somebody is that. I wish you love, I wish you happiness, I wish you all the joy and peace to your heart's content. You have my full blessing, Absolutely. I wish you love. Most of all, I wish you love.
And what about your personal, have you ever written a song, like a goodbye song, or like a memoir, a memory of what was, like a tribute?
I have, and I haven't released it.
That's the one we were talking about, right?
Oh, this is a different one. I have so many songs,
Okay. Okay. Well, can
Yeah.
we talk a little bit about it?
Sure.
Yeah. Do you have a title for it yet?
I don't know. It kind of comes when it comes,
Yeah. And what was, like, I guess it's kind of interesting because you have it written, but you're not going to publish it yet.
There's a chance that I will.
Okay. Do you know when you'll be able to do that?
I could publish it this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, without giving it away or anything, I wanted to see if there's any way we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe the inspiration.
Actually, if I think of another song,
because Larisa, I feel like especially, being in love and being in love that you probably went through that process and wrote a lot of, I'm sure, really good songs deeply close to your heart as you're purging, letting go. And I can understand that at this very moment, it's you're still in process of getting to that place where you're like, okay, I'm ready to set it free. I'm sure there's other stuff to go through it. Maybe we could talk about the process. A little bit about what it was like writing it. Were there moments where while you're writing it, you just broke down crying, and
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because I'm actually thinking of a few songs, because I've been in multiple relationships where it's ended, and I've had to let go. And there was one that I wrote 4 years after we broke up, and it didn't finally come through until then. And it was my tribute to this particular individual I was involved with for about 2.5 years. So it's interesting how, it's like it always comes through when it's meant to, when the time is right. And so then I'm thinking about another, my most recent song. And it really came down to a thought that was so simple. That's really the decision to let go. And when I was ready to finally just decide that and say, okay, I choose no longer to go back and forth and torment and torture myself. All I have to do is say goodbye, and I have to feel that. But there's a piece of you that doesn't want to, especially when you have deep feelings for someone and you have so many beautiful memories shared, and there's a piece that doesn't want to let that go, and hopes, hopes for more, or wonders, or so. And that's part of the reason why the most recent song I'm talking about is I probably will release it in the future, but maybe when I'm not so connected.
Think about once it hits, you're gonna have to perform it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the role of the artist is to fully be, present with your song. So you're revisiting how you were feeling at that time and revisiting everything around it. So that's difficult sometimes as an artist because, you know, if we've moved on from it, or we are in a new state of mind and heart and spirit, you know, we don't want to. It's hard because we don't want to revisit that, you know. But that's part of the role of the artist, is to be able to move through that and to be in that and be present with that.
And does it actually enhance the singing when an artist is not only reliving it through singing it, but also re-experiencing?
Absolutely, 100%. Because if you're not connected to it, the audience feels that, and you feel that, and everyone feels that. And so
you are blessed. That is your love for a friend.
Blessing.
A blessing. That's your love for a friend.
Yes, and also other relationships and also community. So it kind of encompasses all of it in that one song. But the original spark came from that moment. My song, Take a Breath, You Are Blessed, also same thing in a way. There's a sense of letting go in it, but it's not so much about a relationship as it is about life. That a lot of things I tend to write that are, you know, have to do with the heart and the overall picture of life, and then relationships. That's a lot of, you know, and nature. Those are my big inspirations. So Take a Breath, You're Blessed is about letting go, in the sense of letting go of your worries and letting go of anything that's holding you down and telling you that you're not good enough and that you aren't worthy and that you don't deserve, and saying, wait a second, what is all this junk that is clogging me? Hold on, let me release that. Let that go, because I don't need that. Let me remember that I am blessed fully as I am. I am worthy, I am deserving.
I'm so lucky to be with the birds and the bees. Listen to the wind move the leaves. I'm so lucky to breathe this breath. Feel the sun's rays make love to me. I'm so lucky for my friends and family who've always been there for me. If this life is meant to grow, count my buckets full of love, 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 love.
I just kept coming back to prayer and gratitude. Gratitude for the simplest things, you know. And what do I have? Oh, I do have a home. And if I don't have a home, I have a home. And I would sit in front of this tree and I would just soak in the birds and the wind and the sun, and just embrace all that I had in the present moment. And that's where this song came from, and just looking at my life and everything that I experienced and saying, I know what it is to suffer, and I know what it is to love, and at the end of the day, I'm so grateful for everything, because there is love. And you know, when we lose love, it's always worth it because of the experiences we gain from love.
That's
So,
beautifully
yeah.
said.
I'm so lucky to have a place called home, a place that